This is Michael DeSolis from Preacher Corner. The subject matter that we're going to talk about is what people say about people. Rumors, gossip, slander, accusations that are false. It has been brought to my attention that Evie McCrickard's mom is still spreading rumors about me at camp, saying that I took indecent liberties or did inappropriate things to her daughter when she was underage there at camp. Well, to say the truth about that, the total truth is, it's totally not true. It's wrong, what's being said. It has destroyed my life as far as being in ministry. Potential and talent that I have has been not wasted, because I still do a lot of things with children, but it has been wasted in a lot of areas and not be able to be used to benefit God's work, to be there at camp. All she's doing is sowing and reaping discourse. And, Sandy McCrickard is just saying, spreading false leaven and bad seed, among the campgrounds. I mean, you got, in around different churches. When I went to Mechanicsville Church of Christ, I know that Mark Coffey got a call from her because one day I was walking, he said, "I'll take you home." And the question he asked me, he says, "Is it true that you like to pick up on girls underage?" I'm like, "Where are you getting this nonsense from?" I asked him, because it really sounded weird, I never even really talked to Mark that much until he picked me up. But he asked me just uncannily, and I got a little upset because, I said, I said, "Where are you getting this from?" And of course I said, "I know where you're getting this from, but the answer is no." I said, "But have you been talking to Mrs. McCrickard? Sandy McCrickard, from, what is it called? United Disciples of Christ Church. It's in Enrico." And he his body language said yes, but his mouth didn't say anything. He says, then he kind of paused, but that meant yes. And then he said a few seconds later, he goes, "What is that any concern?" I said, "It has a lot to concern, because she's going around spreading a lot of rumors and false accusations about me. And she's been doing this for like 20-some years, Mark." All right. Now, the question I have to pose for you, and the question and that's what I said to him in the car. I said, well, if I like to pick up on girls, then if I was doing that to her daughter when she was underage, like she allegedly says I had done inappropriate things, how come, number one, there isn't a record to support her claims? Like I was arrested, I did time for it, I'm a sex offender, which I'm not. But let's say, if I did all these things, allegedly, what she's saying, how come now the people haven't come forward to collaborate or substantiate that, I did these things to other teenagers? Because you know why? It's not true. And secondly, if it were true, I'm the kind of person that's very honest about everything. And I mean everything. I will tell you anything you want to know. And, if anyone out there that has a problem, and if they're hearing stuff like this, I need to tell you, you can come to me anytime you want and talk to me. And it's better to hear the truth from the horse's mouth than hear it from a hearsayer, like Mrs. McCrickard. Now, I know she's got some money because she's had some rich people in her family that died, left Evie McCrickard and Sandy McCrickard and Warren and all them a load of money. And I think and she's like in the camp committee now, Sandy McCrickard is, and she's very involved with the administration of the camp now. And my advice is, I think, even though she's got money, is, sometimes it's the reason why people get access to those positions. But really, if we were doing church and we were really doing it the right way, instead of having a lot of times this shut up and get along attitude, and even though just to get along kind of, ideas going around, a lot of times people like that, they're doing things like that, don't matter if they got money. If they're wrong, they need to be dealt with, which Mrs. McCrickard is wrong. And I'm truly telling you, nothing absolutely happened with her daughter or any other daughter there at camp when I was there. Nothing. I did nothing wrong with those people that I wouldn't do with any other person as far as being a counselor goes. And, as far as what is being stated or said, it was totally not true. I want to tell you this. Now, there's a police officer that I know that goes to the Mechanicsville Church of Christ who I confide this to. I told him I was just told him the truth. I said, I'm not going to give you his name, but he knows who he is. But I just told him, I'm applying here to be a youth minister. And this before they got before Mr. Childers, left that church to move to go to a different church because he was moving. And I applied to be there. So he ran the record. And this is what the police officer said. And I heard him because he was saying this and he was upset. He said, there's nothing that indicates in his file or record that supports these claims that allegedly what Mrs. Sandy McCrickard is saying to you. So you need to stop doing this stuff to him. He's not guilty of these accusations or allegations. And that's all they really are. I ran his record. There's nothing there to support it. So if you keep on with this charade in this kind of game, anyone that's going to get arrested here this morning, it's not going to be him, it's going to be you. Because he, A, hasn't done nothing wrong here, and B, there's nothing in his record or nothing to support that question. Now, even though, and he's like, well, why did Mrs. McCrickard go to two other ministers and could buy it to him? I said, well, the officer goes, well, there's one or two possibilities, because A, she believes that's what happened, because somebody's lying, like either Evie's lying, but I don't think Evie's the one that's doing this. But I really think it's her mother has manufactured this story, and that's the other thing he said, or she's just manufacturing it because she doesn't want him to be able to talk to, her. And which, for the record, I want to say, I have no desire to talk to her in any capacity. I don't hate her. I'm not mad at her. I forgive her. I forgive Sandy McCrickard. I love their family still. I have no animosity or bad bone in my body. But this charade has got to stop, Mrs. McCrickard. You spreading all these lies and seeds of bad leaven is bad. And anyone that is doing things like this, you've got to stop and wonder. Just because you hear it from somebody that's in authority at Oak Hill Camp, like Sandy McCrickard, because she's been there for many years. Well, I used to go there for many years too. And I know there are good people there at camp, and there were bad people. There was a guy there that was the dean, and later on found out he was a child predator. You know Rich Mullins that used to go there? He actually took indecent liberties with a 14-year-old girl at the church in Chesterfield where he was working at. The reason why I know this is because I attended that church and come out in court that he also molested his daughters. And he really was the person that was doing things that were inappropriate. And he probably may have done things there at camp too, with some of those teenagers too. And that may be why this rumor has been circulated saying I did something, but I have not done anything to anybody. And that is God's honest truth. I mean, let me ask you this. Are we going to play somatic and moral ground charades all day long? Girls hug EL all the time at camp. I've seen him hug them. That doesn't mean he's in love with them. And they might have a crush on him before he got married to Christy. And they might hug him now because they might have a crush on him now, but it's just an innocent crush. But EL, he's my cousin, and I can say this because it's not wrong what I'm saying. If you listen to what I'm saying. Underage girls hug you all the time. And everybody hugs everybody at camp. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a girl or a boy, you're a counselor, you're a man or a woman. We hug people all the time in church, even outside of camp. We do it. At all churches, we're hugging each other. That doesn't mean we love each other, we got infatuation, or, we got a crush on somebody, or, you're picking them up. Okay? And sometimes girls, even when you're younger, they like to hold your hands. But that doesn't mean anything either. It's just what they do. They like to do that because they have a crush on you. And that's the way I took it with Evie when she was underage. But when she got to be 18, we did date a little bit. That is the truth. We did. We kissed, we hugged at camp when she was 18 years old. I want to stress that. It means you're an adult by law. But there was nothing more that we did than just that. And that's not inappropriate. And even at that, I didn't kiss her on the mouth. She wanted me to, but I kissed her on the forehead. But the thing is, nothing more happened. Okay? I didn't do nothing to her. You know, I didn't, have sex with her. I didn't do anything wrong to her at all. And I'm just going to tell the truth and get it out there because it is the truth. I was a friend to her when she was underage. We hugged. We walked around the cafeteria, a few times because I saw other counselors, when they had crushes, we walked around the cafeteria in the flagpole, but it didn't mean anything. It was just friendship. There was no, but when she became 18, yeah, I had attraction towards her when she was 18. I was 24. And there was nothing wrong with that when she became 18. But we were friends for many years before that. And, she told me she wanted to marry me one day, and I said, well, when you get 18, if you still feel that way, that's what I told her. And I really did. I said, I love you and I want to marry you one day. I'd like to have a family with you. And she said the same thing. But her mother is so manipulative and controlling that, she still is intrusive. That's why Evie's marriages that were before the one she has now have ended up in divorce because her mother is so intrusive in her boundaries. And, she's so controlling and probably is still somewhat like that still today, even in the marriage that she's in. But the only reason why Mrs. McCrickard has backed off on Evie is probably because it's the kind of guy that she would like her daughter to have, and that's why she doesn't cringe on their and crouch on their privacy so much or is intrusive so much, because she actually helped pick, all the men that Evie has ever been with, because she is so involved with every aspect of her life, as an adult, and she still is. And, it's just, she's kind of, overbearing. And, Evie is old enough to make her own decisions. Like I've always stated, when she was 18, I told her that. I said, you don't have to do what your mother says. She may not like what you do, but, she said, there is money that I got, from my grandparents, and she's threatened to take that away from me if I go with you or marry you, because I want to be with you. But because my mom doesn't want me to, I can't do it, because she said she threatened to take away my inheritance. I said, well, that is wrong. I said, well, let me ask you something, Evie. And this was like 4 or 5 years ago. It might have been, I think, 7 years ago. I saw Evie one day at Walmart, and I asked her, truthfully, your mother has really destroyed my name, my reputation. She says, yeah, I know, but that wasn't my idea. My mom did that because she doesn't want you to have anything to do with me. And she thinks by you being there at Oak Hill Camp that you'll still try to talk to me and try to, get me to go with you. And that's why she did what she did, because she doesn't want you to be there. Because she doesn't like you, and she doesn't think you have what it takes to support me. And, I think what my mother did was wrong, and that's what she confided to me. I asked her, I said, well, did I do anything wrong to you, like what your mother's saying to everybody? And she said, no, you didn't do anything inappropriate at all. And, of course, her mother may talk to her and, may get her daughter to deny this. But that's exactly what she did tell me. I don't make up things, but I do remember her saying that verbatim when I talked to her 7 years ago at Walmart. And if I saw Evie, I'd still say hi to her. I mean, when Evie had her pretty, beautiful baby daughter, when a week later, she came around where I was walking in the neighborhood, and she was driving one of these burgundy cars. It was a burgundy car, and it was nice. And she had the baby in the back seat, and she stopped. She let me look at the baby. And I said, she looks exactly like you. I said, you know what? Me and you could have got married like we planned, and we could have had the same baby. But I'm proud you found a good husband now. And I hope your mom's not so intrusive in your life. And I said, she looks just like you. She's precious. And she's a sweetie, just like you are. And she smiled. So I said, you got a beautiful baby. She said, I just wanted you to see my baby. And she drove away. And she smiled, went down the road. And, she is a pretty little girl. A beautiful girl. Just like Evie is. But, just because I say that doesn't mean I'm infatuated with her and that I'm going to, I'm going to demonize her and I'm a monster. I'm going to try to pick up on her. No. I'm not like that. But of course, I hear that rumor going around because that's what Mark Coffey, the preacher from Mechanicsville Church of Christ, said that to me, because that's what Evie had said, or not Evie, but Evie's mother, Mrs. Sandy McCrickard, said to Mark, and that's why I couldn't work with children. And anywhere I go, in any church camp or anywhere or any churches, Evie's mother has made it her mission to go and spread this blasphemy stuff about me. And it's not true, because if it were true, I would admit it. I said, yeah, I love to pick up on women. Yes, I like to do all this stuff, but it's not true. Because I'm not going to admit to something I didn't do, A, for one. And B, there's nothing to support her claims or her instantiations other than her mouth. And there's nobody else that's coming forward to support it either. Yeah, he did that to my daughter. Yeah, he was like that. And if that was the case, then that would be different. But there's no other people that are coming forward with any information additional to what she's claiming. Because it's not A, true, and B, it's wrong, and it's all discourse, and she's reaping bad seed. And my recommendation is to have her removed from the camp committee and have her removed from any affiliation from Oak Hill Christian Service Camp. Because she's, you know, I've heard from other people that have crossed her that she's gone at great lengths to destroy their reputations and made them look guilty, and because she didn't like them, and that's what other people said, and they weren't guilty, but she's really tried to destroy their reputation because of that. And I've talked to some people about that, and anytime anybody crosses Mrs. McCrickard, she does that. She likes to stir up rumors and slanderous and say inflammatory and, you know, and make accusations up, and that's what she does, and that's what I've heard from a lot of other people. So, you know, I know she's been in and out of a mental hospital over the last 10 years a couple times, and, you know, I'm going to tell more of the stuff about her that's the truth. What I say won't be slanderous, because I have the background information on her. I went and did information. There's some questionable things she did, you know, in her file before she became a Christian, and even when she was a Christian, and before she was with Ken, you know, McCrickard. You know, there were some questionable things that she did in her childhood, and then things, and, you know, things that she's done. You know, so she's not all innocent and perfect either. But the thing is, which I'm not either, but the things she's saying are just outright wrong and outright foolish, because I didn't do those things. And I'm telling the God's honest truth. I am. I did not, and I will not, pick up on underage kids. I don't have that interest or that desire in any way, shape, or form. I do not like being accused or having someone go over behind my back, confined with 2 or 3 ministers, telling the story to them coming forward to Glenn, and along with her substantiated claims. Because it's not true, for one. And secondly, when I talked to Glenn, this is off record, he said, well, truly, what she says, she's really upset, and meaning Sandy McCrickard, you know, and I have to do what she says, or otherwise I'll lose my job. But truthfully, I'm going to say this to you, because I do believe you. I know you didn't do nothing wrong with Evie McCrickard. And when you were here at camp, there was nothing questionable that you did. Even though, however, Mrs. McCrickard, the family, you know, they're upset. You know, meaning Sandy McCrickard and the family, they don't want you there at camp. And it's mainly come from Sandy. And, of course, when you know, it's like what I told you about what the cop said, you know, at Mechanicsville, you know, and what I heard him say to Mark Coffey, if he didn't stop doing this stuff, the only rest that was going to happen this morning was going to be him. Because he keeps on saying these things about me and doing these things. Because it's not true. There's nothing to support it. And my character, there's nothing that would support that. I just want to clear my name. I'm just tired of the injustice that's been going on. And I just want to be able to get my life back. And I want to be able to, you know, I want to be able to have a church that will grow superficially and not have it be stained by these slanderous, infamous, defamation of character attempts to plot to assassinate my character, and have it go on any further, because it's just insidious, it's wrong, and it's useless. And it's just like I heard, Amy Carter's son saying, well, I'm tired of this because I heard about what he did with Evie McCrickard at camp. And, I heard about this, and they need to know about it here at the Friends Church, because I heard him saying that to his mother. And like Amy Carter said, well, if there's anything that he's done, and if he has done something, that you need to stay out of it. The older adults will take care of it. But, don't you go and say anything or say something, because they'll take care of it. He's done something, they would definitely address it. Because that's up to the older adults. It's not up to you. You just stay out of it. Okay? And that's what she told her son. Because I'm going to tell you, Guy, I think you're Chris. It's not true what she's saying. And what you heard at camp, what they're saying is not true. All right? You need to question Evie McCrickard or anybody else that's heard her say these things, these inflammatory falsehoods about me, in any way, shape, or form. You need to go to her, the source, and you need to question her and wonder what's going on in her life and what's going on in her head mentally, because she has some mental problems. And she's been in and out of mental hospitals some over the last 10 years, a couple times for anxiety and things. So you need to really look at that, and you really need to, she's overweight, she's got high blood pressure, she's got a problem with that overweight kind of stuff. And she has problems with high cholesterol, and that's the problems with her heart. So you need to really look at those kinds of things too, because these things could be all connected. Why she's saying these things. She said some real rather hurtful things to me. She said, I don't want you to have nothing to do with my daughter. If I say this, this is when she was growing up. She's, 20-some years old, almost 30 now. She's probably in her early 30s now. But at the time, she was in her late 20s. When Ken asked me to call her, I waited, he said, call her in a week. I waited 2 weeks. And I said to Ken, I'll wait 2 weeks and I'll call, because he gave me the number where she works. So I contacted Evie. And, I got the information, and then of course I couldn't talk to her, so I left a message for her. And then, and this was back in the early 2000s, or, mid 2000s, when she divorced her second husband, because I knew she was divorced. And so I contacted her innocently. And, because I knew she was divorced, and I figured she's growing up. She's above age, and, she was above age the first time when we were dating, 18. But, of course, now she was like, 24, 25. And I'm like, around 32 or 33 at the time. So I contacted her when I was living back in 2003 or 4. And I called her house, and instead of Evie getting on the phone, her mother gets on the phone and still was treating her like she was underage. She says, you are not going to have nothing to do with my daughter, any contact with my daughter. I don't want you to talk to her. I don't want you to have nothing to do with her. I know what kind of game you're playing. And I said, I know what kind of game you're playing, and I think you're wrong. Where do you have a right to pick and choose who your daughter gets to see when she's an adult and she's able to make that decision herself? Now, if she was a child, that would be different, but she's not a child. And she needs to tell me that, not you. But instead, she got on the phone and manhandled it like she was the man and told me, because she's controlling and authoritative and all that, and that's how she is with a lot of people. She likes to manipulate people for her gain and for what she wants, and then if you cross her, then she does what she can to destroy or to try to kill your reputation, and that's what she's doing to me. Because I stood up to her, and she's mad about that. She don't like that. We're talking about Sandy McCrickard here. And that's why she's doing these things. So I just want to get this out in the open, because some people are like that, and that's the way she is. So don't let her nice Christian ways and her facade try to sway you, because she's not as innocent as she looks, and she's not as nice as she looks. And even though she smells good, doesn't mean she is good, because Mrs. Sandy McCrickard is very scheming and very sometimes deceitful. So you got to be careful when they're always talking about a lot of other people and saying a lot of misinformation that they're spreading around and sowing seeds of discord and disharmony and dysfunction and fellowship. You got to wonder, why are they doing that, and wonder about things that are going on in their life. When they got to confide a story, they can lie to preachers and confide that same story, and it ain't telling the truth. I mean, telling the truth is one thing, but this girl lied. I mean, she did lie, because there's nothing that supports anything she says from anybody. There's no other people that are saying these things, and there's no other accusations that were coming from her mouth. So, I just want to put this thing in the ground for once and for all. And then if you don't stop Mrs. McCrickard, Sandy, that is, I'm going to send legal papers and summon you. And I'm going to take you to court. And we're going to clear my name once and for all. Because I can get the information from the cops that was filed. I can get the information supporting the stuff from Mark Coffey. I can get all that information of what you said to him on the phone. I can get the tapes. I can get all that stuff from Homeland Security. So, if I need to get it, I can. And I definitely will clear my name of what you exactly said on the phone to these people. And what you said to these preachers over the phone. And what you said even in confidence. So what I would say to you, if you don't want to play that game, please end it now. And, stop spreading these falsehoods about me. I'm not saying nothing about you or about your past. And I'm not saying nothing anymore about you, about what you're doing or about your motives. But I said all what I'm going to say today. I don't want to hear anything more about it or see anything being spread about it. So I almost lost the camera. But I just want to tell you, what's being said is totally a fabrication. It's a lie. It's not true. Like I said, I'm a kind of person that would admit to everything. If that were true, I would say, yes, I did those things. Yes, I'm that kind of person. But I'm not going to say yes to things I didn't do. And so in conclusion, this morning, I want to make this clear that always know the fruits of what people say. Don't judge by the content of what they say, but always look at their character and always wonder about why they have to go around putting the attention on them or drawing the center attention to them. Why is that? There's got to be other motives other than what is actually coming out of their mouth as content. Because secondly, another question you want to draw to conclusion. Why aren't other people saying the same thing? Why aren't other people come forward saying these things when they're not true? And thirdly, why wasn't I arrested for these alleged things if I did inappropriate things to her daughter, which I did not do? Why am I not a sex offender? If I am like that, then why am I not all these things? So that's the things you have to look at. Because I'm not. That's the reason why. And it's also because it's not true. So I just want to clear this up once and for all. Sandy McCrickard, you need to stop this charade. It's getting too old. It's a dead horse. It's not accurate information. It's not invaluable what you're doing. It's a discourse. I think the people at Oak Hill Christian Service Camp need to have her removed from office and not have her have anything to do with that camp whatsoever. That's my recommendation. That's Michael De Silvas, pastor from New Hunter Church of Christ, evangelist. I'll see you later. I'll see you tomorrow with another update. It's Preacher Corner. Bye for now. Subscribe down below. I love you. See you later.